Hi, everyone, and welcome to Stats with Andrew. Today we're going to do a one-way analysis of variance in Genstat. So I'll share my screen and we'll get cracking. Okay, so this is how Genstat welcomes you. We could, following a formal approach, go File, Open, and then find a file. It'll be an Excel file, XLSX. But we can actually take a shortcut here because, well, in two places. There's a shortcut here. Our file is drugs. But there's also a shortcut here, right on the front page. So that's quite handy. So we'll use that. Now it asks me, it says S:"Genstat. S stands for sheet. In an Excel file, you can have many sheets, as presumably you'd know. I keep it nice and clean and simple. So in this instance, I've only got one and it's called Genstat, and that is the sheet ready for analysis. So I've prepared it in Genstat. So let's just hit finish. We don't need to hit next and go through all the various steps. And it's imported the file. Now in Genstat, and I will run a separate class on this, on preparing data in Excel for Genstat and SPSS. But in Genstat, hospital would have been immediately followed by an exclamation mark, and drug immediately by an exclamation mark. Now, that is code for Genstat, and it tells Genstat that this is a factor. It's not a variate, right? Or a variable, if you wish. And so it knows straight away. Now, you can change it once you're in there anyhow. You can right mouse click, convert to variate, right? And likewise, if that were a variate, I could convert to factor. But it's good to have it all organized properly. For whatever reason, Genstat grabs the exclamation mark and moves it out the front. Now you can see there, it knows that it's a factor. It says factor, hospital, 5 levels, A, B, C, D, E. And then likewise with drugs, 4 levels, diazepam, fluoxetine, lithium, and oxazepam. Now this is a made-up data set, and so completely fictitious, so please bear that in mind. It's just for illustrative purposes. And we have 5 hospitals, and each hospital is administering to a patient one of the drugs, diazepam, and then to another patient, another one of the drugs, oxazepam, to another patient, another one, fluoxetine, and to another, lithium. And each hospital is doing that. Okay, and then we have 2 variants, K10, which is a psychological score scale, a real scale, but the numbers here are made up. And we have survey score, so just a score from a particular survey, so how people were feeling. Okay, so let's not worry too much about the the meaning of the data set. It's really just looking at the efficacy of these drugs, and then survey score is the response. Okay. So we're going to run a one-way analysis of variance. There's 2 ways we can do that. So let's start stats, analysis of variance, and we could click this 1 and 2 way, or we could click general. But let's click 1 and 2 way first. Now we're going to do a very simple ANOVA. We're going to ignore the blocking factor, which is hospital, just to start with. So let's get survey score. We'll use that as our variant. And our treatment then is drug. Okay, notice when I had it clicked in treatments, it had hospital, offered. That's because it knows it's a factor. Hospital would actually belong down here in blocks, but we're not going to put it in yet. Okay, so if we, we'll run that without adding on some options first and just see what we get. Okay, so we get our ANOVA table, stock standard, and our p-value is less than 0.001, so it's highly significant. All right, so it's a highly significant effect of drug on survey score. And then we can see the means of our different drugs down here. So that's a very simple ANOVA. But one thing it's not telling us is which means are significantly different from which other ones, right? So let's just go back. I go window and I go back to this 1 and 2-way ANOVA box. And let's go options, LSDs. That stands for least significant differences. And that's for looking at differences in pairwise comparisons of means, right? So post hoc, after the analysis, okay? Let's also click residuals plots just to see if our residuals are stable. We can go running tests like Levene's tests, etc., but it's normally not necessary. We just need to see if they're stable when we look at them graphically. So we'll run that. Here we go. So yes, they are stable. The variation stays the same as the mean increases. That's fine. So that's good. If you look at these half normal plots and the normal plot, things are fairly normal as well. Normality, people overstress it for ANOVA. ANOVA is known and it's been tested to be very robust to departures from normality. What's far more important is your variances. If you feel more comfortable, instead of reading a variance plot, you can run a Levene's test or something like that. Okay, so I'll just go back to the main screen now. So we're back. Now what we'll do is we'll go back to the 1 and 2-way analysis of variance and we'll put our blocking factor in. So we go click blocks, hospital. So this is a randomized block design and we're going to put hospital in as our block. I'll just check the options. We've got the LSDs again. We've got the residuals plots. Now the residuals plot will change. I will go through the effort, sorry, with just the flicking between screens. And just to show you how the residuals have changed. Here it is. Still fairly normal, but the residuals reasonably stable as the mean increases. The variance is reasonably stable. Okay, might be slightly less here, but there is that point up there. If there were not that point there, you could argue that it's what's called fanning, and you might have to look at transforming the data, such as log transforming and there's various other transformations. But that's okay. So I'll just show you how else we could have done the analysis of variance, and I won't go through the residuals plots, etc., because the results will be exactly the same. It's just we could use this general command, and it's the one I've always used. I never use the 1 and 2-way command, but it doesn't matter. Just ANOVA general. Oops, sorry. Got ahead of myself there. Okay. Our Y variant, we're looking at survey score, and it just says general analysis of variance at the top, right? Now we could select these things, one-way ANOVA, no blocking, or in random two-way in randomized blocks, one-way in randomized blocks. We could use that, but let's just keep it simple. We can just use the general command, and we put our treatment structure in here, which is drug, and our block structure is hospital. Now it says structure because sometimes these you have many things nested within other, so many blocks nested within other blocks and crossed, and there's all sorts of interactions you can have. So just for instance, we could have a broader block structure, which might be region. There might be the northern region and the southern region. And then I would have hospital nested within that because it naturally sits within that. So it'd be region / hospital. You could also have interactions and various things. So that's why all these operators are down here. So blocking structure can get quite complex. Okay, but for us, it's simple here. It's just hospital, and a treatment structure, which can also get complex, is just drug because we've just got one treatment. Now, if we go options, LSDs, I won't go residuals plots because we've seen the residuals plots and they'll just be the same as the one we just saw, the last one. Okay, and then run. Now, I don't know if I gave the example of the LSD before, but the way you use it is normally you get a piece of paper and you just write down these means here from highest to lowest, and you bracket them in groups, and you can assign letters to them to say whether they're different from each other or not. But just as a simple example, LSD is 3.761. So lithium is significantly greater than all the other drugs, because if you subtract 3.761 from 25.8, you will not get down to 16.4 or 16.8, which is the next value. Then fluoxetine and oxazepam are not different from each other. They're within 3.761 of each other. But everything else is significantly greater than the diazepam. Okay? So that's how the LSD works. Okay, so under options, we did have the possibility, as I said, of residuals plots, and there are various other things, but I think for our purposes, that will do. So that's our ANOVA in Genstat. I hope that was of some use for you. I'm also running a video on ANOVA in SPSS, so you can have a look at that too if you wish. And I wish you all the best with running ANOVAs. Thanks. Bye.